In this video, we're going to have a custom editor script and set it up so that we can click on objects. This, coupled with some gizmos, allows us to create some awesome, easy to use tools. In this case, we're going to test it out by quickly building a scripted cutscene for our game. Let's begin! Hello and welcome, I'm your Code Monkey, and this channel is all about helping you learn how to make your own games with in-depth tutorials made by a professional indie game developer. So if you find the video helpful, consider subscribing. Okay, so once again, I've been working on the Code Monkey Steam app. If you haven't done it yet, then click the link in the description to add it to your wishlist. Now, I needed to do a ton of scripting, so I started researching how to build a nice and easy tool. Now, in a previous video, I already covered how to make a custom editor script. In that one, we'll learn how to create the custom inspector to show the fields exactly as we wanted, along with some really nice helpful gizmos. And now here we're going to expand upon that and add a simple button to each field that will let us click to select our objects. Okay, so let's check out our goal and then we're going to build it. Now over here is my scene, and in this script I have the custom action script that we made in the previous video. So with this I can script a whole bunch of different actions. So for example, let's say I want to make a little scripted cutscene. So I want this character here to come here, open the door, then move here, then say something to this one, then this one replies, and the first one goes away and closes the door. So it's a relatively simple scripted scene, and thanks to the awesome custom inspector, it will be very easy to do. So first I have my custom action script, and right away we see the custom inspector that we made in the previous video. Now here let's select the type of move action, and now there's a field for the unit game object, and over here we see a very nice custom button. So as I click on it, yep, there's a message telling me to click to select the unit move position. And now the custom editor is in a clickable mode. And if I mouse over a valid unit, yep, there you go, I can see a nice highlight. So this one is valid. And I click on it, and there you go, the unit gets selected automatically and this field is set. So using this method, I didn't need to look at the hierarchy at all. I just looked at the fields, clicked the button, then visually clicked on my scene, and all the fields were set. So as you can see, this makes our nice tool extremely simple and easy to use. Alright, so let's continue building the scene. This one will move here, okay. Then let's make another action. This one will be of type door. So once again, there's a button to visually select the door, so click on it, and now I highlight the door and I click on it. Yep, there you go, it's selected. This one will open. And then the move action also has the on reach position, which takes a custom action. So once again, click the button, visually click on the door action, and there you go, he goes straight into that one. So you can see how all of this is very visual and there's no need to look in the hierarchy at all. So now I'm going to very quickly build out the whole scripted cutscene. Alright, so here it is. In just a few seconds I managed to make a really complex cutscene. Let's try it out. So there it is, start off with that one, he goes in there, opens the door, now he moves in there, he says his message, that one moves up, says the other message, then that one moves away, and finally closes the door. Alright, awesome! So here we have a really nice simple cutscene. And you saw how easy it was to build thanks to our custom editor inspector, along with the ability to visually click to select objects. You can see how this greatly improves your productivity. Without this tool, it would have taken me something like 30 minutes to script this cutscene, but in this case, since I took the time to build a custom tool, it literally took me just 60 seconds to build this whole cutscene. All of it thanks to a custom inspector, custom gizmos, and capturing clicks in the scene view. This video's Patreon sponsor is Bad Adventurer. Bad Adventurer is a game development duo currently working on their first game, Wayfarer's Edge. It's a RPG focused on exploring and settling unknown frontier lands in a low fantasy and Wild West theme. Check them out at badadventurer.com. Thank you to the Patreon sponsor, and thank you to these awesome supporters for making this video possible. Go to patreon.com/unitycodemonkey to get some perks and help keep the videos free for everyone. Alright, so this is our goal. Let's get to it. Okay, so here we are in our starting scene. This is where we left off on the custom inspector video. So we already have a custom action with a custom inspector script. So by itself, this is already a very nice and very versatile tool. However, in order to use it, we need to identify objects and drag their references. So for example, let's say I want to use an action to move this character over here. So first I go into the action type, select the move, and now here I have my field. So I have to select the unit game object. So first I need to identify it, so let me click on it. And there you go, I can see that it's this one. Now I have to memorize this name, so it's the unit 1. Now select it again, now click on this one, drag it on, and drag it on there. Alright, so this is how it is. Now let's improve this whole process by seeing how we can capture clicks in the editor scene. That way I can click on some random button in here, then visually click on that one, and it automatically fills the field. Okay, so to do that, let's first open the custom editor script, right here, the custom action editor. Okay, now in order to do this, we're going to need to do it down here on the onScene GUI. Now this function gets called when the object is selected and the scene GUI updates. So here we are already handling with the position handle for the move position. So down here you can see it in action when I select this action and it's of move type. Yep, there's a nice move handle to set the move position. So that's what this code is doing. And here now the first thing we're going to do is grab the current event. So we go into event.current. And now here, since we want to capture clicks, let's test if the event.type is of type. And now here one thing. In theory, we want the mouse up, but just for testing, let's first test on mouse down. So on mouse down, let's do a log. Let's test. Okay, now like I said, that function only runs when the object is selected. So if it's not selected and I click, yep, there's nothing on the console. So I need to first select the object that contains the custom action. And now if I click, yep, there you go, there's the mouse down event. So just like this, we are capturing mouse clicks with our editor script. All right, awesome. Now here, the reason why I test with mouse down instead of mouse up has to do with how the selection works. So if I put mouse up, which is how we should capture our clicks, except if I do it right here and I click and I let go, and yep, there's no message. That is because first the object gets deselected and then that function no longer runs, so we don't have our message. So the next thing we need to learn is how to block clicks. So here, let's first test blocking clicks if the E control is down. So if we press the control key, then we don't want our object to be deselected. And now the way that we block clicks is going into the handle utility, add a default control, and we grab the default control. Alright, so this tells the editor to use the default control, which causes it to not change selection. And if we go back, okay, so if I select the object and click away, yep, there you go, the click still works as normal. But now if I do it while pressing control, and nope, there you go, it no longer deselects the object. And right here on the console, you can see that our mouse up is now correctly being triggered. So this is how we're going to stop Unity from deselecting our objects and instead capture the clicks to do whatever logic we want. Okay, so now that we can capture our clicks, it's time to actually test if we're clicking on top of something valid. Now there are mainly two ways that we can find what object we're clicking on. If the object has a collider, then we can use the physics system. And if it does not have a collider, then we need to do some trickery with positions. Now in here, all the objects that we want are using colliders, so let's go with the simplest physics system method. So let's fire some raycasts. Back in our code, down here on the onScene GUI, let's first get our ray. So our ray, we go into the handle utility, and we do a GUI point to world ray, pass in the mouse position. Then we do a normal raycast. Okay, here it is, and then we just do a debug log on the amount of hits. So in here, .link. Alright, so we should be constantly doing array and identifying what's underneath the mouse position. Let's see. And yep, right away we can see the console updating. So if I aim towards nothing, yep, there's a 0, there's no rays, nothing being hit. And if I mouse over the ground, which does have a collider, yep, there you go. And I mouse over the wall, and there you go, and on door, and so on. Alright, great. So now that we have our raycast working, let's add a very nice visual. Now to do that, first let's cycle through all of our hits. And now here let's draw a wire cube around the collider that this hit. Alright, so we should be able to see a wire cube right on top of the collider that was hit. Okay, here we are, and as I mouse over the ground, yep, there you go, there's the wire cube on top, and there's a wall, another wall, and a part of the door, and so on. Alright, great. So just like this, you can definitely see the object that I'm hovering over. Now here, if you're following along, depending on how you set up your scene, you might be seeing a potential issue here. So right now, as you can see, everything is updating nicely. However, depending on what you have in your scene, this might not be as responsive. Meaning maybe you move the mouse around and it takes a while to update the actual draw wire cube. Now the reason for that is due to how the scene view works. The scene view only renders when something changes. So back in this code, this function will only get called when it absolutely needs to. So if you do have that issue, then one simple solution is to call sceneView.repaintAll. This will force the scene view to repaint. And if you do that, then the issues with unresponsiveness should be solved. Alright, great. So now that we know what we're hovering over, let's identify and filter our objects. For starters, let's say we want to capture just the units. We want to be able to run our move action. In order to do that, the units need to have the move position component. Now this is the modular component that we built in the modular character video. So let's use this as our filter. Here when we do our raycast, let's try getting the component. So if this succeeds, then that means that the game object that we're hovering over does have a move position component. So in this case, it's a valid unit. And if it is not, then it should not show the wire queue. Alright, so let's test. Okay, here we are, and as I move the mouse over the ground, yep, there's nothing on it, since the ground does not have the move position component. But if I mouse over a unit, yep, there you go, now I can definitely see it. Alright, so our code is now correctly identifying which objects are valid. Okay, so right here we have pretty much all of our logic. Now let's just organize this nice and clean. So up here, let's make a nice function. Okay, here is our really nice and helpful function. Now it does exactly the same thing that we're doing previously, and it's also set up to be made to work with any type we want, which makes it very versatile. Now in here, it's using generics, and if you're not familiar or want to learn more, then check the video linked in the description. So we do array, do array cast, cycle through them, check if they have the component, and if so, then we output with the component and also the collider. And then down here, we can just use it. So instead of doing all of this, let's replace it with our function call. Alright, so just like this, and it should be working exactly the same. And yep, here it is. It does not show anything on the ground, but as I mouse over, yep, there it is. Alright, great. So this code covers our selection. Now let's also apply this to our clicks. So we're going to use the mouse up event. And when we do have the mouse up, then let's once again test. We grab the object over the raycast, and if there is something, and then we need our script instance right here, and we just set our parameters. Alright, so that should do it. So when we let go of the mouse, we are going to set the field if it's on top of a valid position. And in here, if we are holding control, then we are not going to deselect our object. Okay, so here we have our custom action. Let's make it a move. And yep, there we go. That one is set to null. And as I mouse over, yep, there we go. It identifies that that one is a valid unit. And if I press on the control key in order to not deselect, and I click, and there you go. Now it correctly selected our unit. So by visually clicking on the scene view, we correctly set this field. All right, awesome. Now instead of having this mode active at all times, let's use it by activating a button. So in our custom inspector, we have our inspector code. And down here, we have the line that shows all of our property fields. So instead of showing the entire move param serialized object, let's show them individually. Okay, so it shows each one. Now let's put a button right next to the unit game object. So for that, let's first call the editor GUI layout. And let's begin a horizontal. Then we add our unit game object property field. And then let's add a button. So this will spawn a button with a plus sign and a small width, and then we end the horizontal. Alright, so just like this, we should be able to see the button. And yep, there it is. We have our unit game object field, and right in there we got a nice button. Now let's add some code on the button. So this function returns true when the button is pressed. And if so, then we want to enable our click mode. So up here, let's define some SQL fields. So when we click, let's set this one to true. And now down here, we're only going to highlight selectable objects if this one is true. And we're also going to block the clicks only when this one is true. And after we set our field, then we set this to false. All right, so this should be working. Okay, here we are with our custom action. Let's first swap it onto a move action. All right, and it's set to null. Okay, and if we click, yep, there you go. The clicks are working as normal. Now we select it again, and now let's click on the plus sign. And now it should be blocking clicks, and as I mouse over, yep, there you go, there's a selection. Now I click on it, and there you go, it filled the field, and now the mouse is back to normal. So I can click, and yep, deselect normal. All right, awesome. So with this, we have all of our click logic fully working. Now all we need to do is just expand upon this by handling all of the various types. So back in the editor script, let's define the enum for all of our types. Alright, so we have an enum for all of our types. We store the enum type, and then we also have an action. So this is an action delegate to set our actual object. Now, if you're not familiar with delegates, check the link in the description. Then down here we set click to select true, yes. Then we set the click to select type. In this case, we use the same one, okay. And then for the action, we set it to a delegate. Alright, so we do it like this. So this action will receive an object as a parameter, and we're going to set, in this case, the move params.unitGame object with our object as a game object. So then down here, we can make it work with any type. First, we do a switch on our click to select type. This is where we check the type that we're going to use in here. Now down here, do the same thing. And instead of using this directly, we're going to call the click to select action and then pass in the object, which in this case will be the call_game object. Alright, so this should still all be working exactly the same. Okay, we have our custom action and no unit selected. Now click on that one, now select on that one, and yep, there you go. Alright, awesome, it still works. Now let's apply it to a type of another custom action. So first we add another plus button on here on the onReach position action. So we modify the click to select type to select a custom action, and then we set the move params on reach position to this object as a custom action. And now down here, first we handle selection. So this one really just means changing this one. Alright, so we test if the mouse is over a custom action and we show. And now down here handling the clicks. We call the click to select action and we pass in this one. Alright, so we just need one final thing, which is all of this is working using the physics system. So that means that in this case, in order to select something, it needs to have a collider. So on the custom action, let's also add a basic box collider. So just like that, just so it's clickable. Alright, so let's make a different action. Alright, so here I have a custom action to open this door. So this one moves, and now here we have the onReach position. We have our nice plus button. So click on it, and now I can click on this action, and yep, there you go, it goes from this one onto this one. Alright, so here we have a very versatile, very robust system. It is built in such a way that we can make it work with any type. So here you saw how we added two types. Now we just need to expand upon this to also enable clicking on doors and other objects and anything we want. So I'm just going to finish adding all the rest. Alright, so I've expanded the code to fit all of the types, so everything should be working. So let's first start off with this action. Let's make it of type move. Alright, here I have the various plus signs, so for the UnitGame object, click on plus. Yep, there you go, there's also a very nice label. Click to select the unit move position, so I'm going to select this one. And now I'm going to tell it to move here. And now let's select this action. Let's make this of type door. And there you go, the door also has a plus, so click on it and select this door. And now let's go from this move position. And when it reaches, let's select the plus, select the door, and there you go, just like that. So very easily, just by clicking on the scene view, you can see that I've set up all the fields for these various custom actions. And if we run our scene, yep, there's the unit right there, it goes in there, and yep, opens the door. Alright, awesome. So now let's make a complex cutscene. So first let's set up all the actions. So we have that one moving, then this one is also going to be a move. It's going to move that unit, and now it's going to move it in here. Then we add another move action. This time we're going to move this unit, and we're going to move it in there. And then we're going to have another action. This will be a chat bubble. So we click, and we're going to say a message on this unit. It's going to say something. Then we have another one, and now it's going to be this unit. Then we're going to have another move action. We're going to move this one back in there. And finally, we're also going to have another door action, and this time we're going to close it. All right, so there's all the individual actions, and now we just need to schedule them. So that one moves into this one. Now this one, when the door animation completes, goes into this one. So he moves there, then after moving, he moves the other one. So it goes into this one, then this one says the chat bubble, then this one, the other one. All right, so just like this. Let's test. All right, the unit goes in there, opens the door, now goes in there, now that one in there, now he says that message, now this one says this message, now that one goes in there, and yep, he closes the door. All right, awesome. So here we have our very complex behavior working correctly. And we built this in just a few seconds thanks to all of our awesome tools. So here we'll learn how to capture editor clicks and apply them to any tool we want. In doing so, we created this awesome custom editor script that lets us build some really complex scripted behaviors extremely easy. This is just one small example of a use case for a custom script. By making a custom inspector with interactive buttons and clicking on the scene, you can apply this to any tool you have in your games. So go ahead, apply this to your games to greatly increase your productivity. Check out the CodeMonkey app on Steam. Interactive tutorials, complete games, and more. Click the link in the description and add it to your wishlist. This video is made possible thanks to these awesome supporters. Go to patreon.com/unitycodemonkey to get some perks and help keep the videos free for everyone. As always, you can download the project files and utilities from unitycodemonkey.com. Subscribe to the channel for more Unity tutorials, post any questions you have in the comments, and I'll see you next time.